As far as I'm concerned, the answer is absolutely not. We are not alone. Once again, why limit creation? Why limit the infinite potential of existence to just us in this realm or domain of Earth? Of course, those of you who are familiar with this model will now know that extraterrestrials on this model means exactly what it sounds like. Extra meaning more of, and terrestrial coming from the root word terrain or land or earth. So yes, I do believe that there are extraterrestrial lands and extraterrestrial beings in other domains of our Earth. There is certainly a plethora of evidence strongly suggesting extraterrestrial activity in this realm, past and present, from mythologies, folklore, scriptures, ancient stone carvings, texts, recent testimonies and accounts, and even sightings. And even by many who claim to have visited some of these extraterrestrial worlds in fairly recent times. I'm sure most of you will be familiar with the 18th century Norse explorer Olaf Jansen and the famous Vice Admiral Richard E. Byrd, amongst others. Those of you who are not familiar with these explorers are probably wondering what they had to say about their extraterrestrial discoveries. Well, let's hear it from the horse's mouth. The following is a recording made by Vice Admiral Richard E. Byrd in 1954 on a broadcast called the Longines Chronoscope.
Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
Is there any unexplored land left on this Earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. An area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being.
I'm sure there's no need for me to elaborate. The Vice Admiral was very clear about what he discovered and where it's located. So let's move on. Many of you will also be familiar with archaeologists and anthropologists like Eric van Daniken, Graham Hancock, Giorgio Tsoukalos, David Wilcox, and Michael Tellinger, amongst others, whom have all spent a large part of their lives researching and investigating extraterrestrial activity in our realm, past and present. Although most of these researchers currently still subscribe to the heliocentric Earth model, ironically, I think their research and theories make way more sense on this geocentric cosmic egg model. Anyway, given the overwhelming evidence, it is certainly my understanding that these extraterrestrial domains, lands, realms, and dimensions are inhabited by many extraterrestrial beings, civilizations, cultures, and races, all with varying degrees of conscious and/or technological advancements, dependent on various cosmological factors like cosmic cycles, seasons, and ages, all of which I will further elaborate on in the final segment of my presentation. At this point, I want to make it very clear that there is a distinct difference between extraterrestrials and aliens. Whilst I subscribe to the notion that there are definitely various races of extraterrestrial beings, I do not subscribe to the idea of aliens, certainly not in the form portrayed to us in modern popular culture. As far as I'm concerned, extraterrestrial beings are humanoid and closely related to us, human beings. I'm sure you're all familiar with the various historical and mythological names that have been used to describe some of these extraterrestrial beings and civilizations, past and present. Races of beings such as the Polarians, the Hyperboreans, the Lemurians, the Atlanteans, the Aryans, Reptilians, Pleiadians, Arcturians, etc., etc. Now, I would argue that most, if not all these races are not just mythological, but actually currently existing races of beings and civilizations across the plane of our vast geocentric universal Earth. However, aliens, on the other hand, particularly as they are portrayed to us in popular culture, are most likely inorganic, artificial, or genetically engineered constructs. I think distinguishing between the two is extremely important, more so in the near future when disclosure happens, as I will further explain in the final segment of my presentation. For now, let's stay on track. Now, it's also worth mentioning that all of this is obviously not random. There is most definitely structure and order to our universe. Natural biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, and cosmology are all too finely balanced to just be random. Everything in existence is divinely created and structured. Now, obviously, for universal order to exist, then logically there has to be universal laws that govern this order. These are what are known as the 12 universal laws. The law of oneness, the law of vibration, the law of action, the law of correspondence, the law of cause and effect, the law of compensation, the law of attraction, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, the law of relativity, the law of polarity, the law of rhythm, and the law of gender. These universal laws are also sometimes referred to as spiritual laws, as their governance transcends both the physical and metaphysical. Everything in our entire universe, top to bottom, is governed by these spiritual universal laws, regardless of whether we're aware of them or not. Below universal laws, we have what's known as natural laws. Natural laws predominantly govern the physical world, the natural order of things on our entire vast earthly plane. Every earthly realm, domain, and dimension abide by and are equally affected by the same universal natural physical laws. Of course, both universal and natural laws are unbiased and totally fair. They work for or against everyone and everything, regardless of whether we're aware of them or not. Just like the sun shines on everything and everyone equally the same, good and bad. Many wise esoteric researchers, mystics, teachers, and writings tell us that understanding and living within these universal and natural laws creates balance and harmony, whereas ignorance or perversion of these laws does the exact opposite. Now, of course, we all know there are many other laws as well. Below universal and natural laws, we have common laws. Common laws are uniquely subject to each individual earthly realm or domain, meaning each one of these 4 realms, domains, or districts, if you like, individually agree upon their own laws, determined by the things they have in common amongst themselves, hence the term common laws. And so, since common laws are created by the dominions or beings of each domain, they are also known as man-made laws. Of course, in this realm, these man-made or legal laws trickle further down to government laws, then state, district, council, all the way down to your local municipality laws, and so on and so on. Unfortunately, many of us are not aware of spiritual, universal, natural, and sometimes even common laws. In this domain, we are all ignorantly restricted to man-made laws, and this is no doubt by design. Those in positions of power are in those positions because they understand these fundamental concepts. Remember, knowledge is power. However, having said that, there is a time and place for everything, a reason and season for everything. Which brings me to my last, and I think most important part of my presentation, the who, how, and why of all of this. Now, I'd like to open this last section of my presentation with a couple of quotes. One biblical and the other a prophetic quote made by the Hopi native Indians of North America. Biblical quote is from the book of Ecclesiastes 1:9-10. and I quote, "All things continue the way they have been since the beginning. What has happened will happen again. There is nothing new here on earth." And the native Hopi prophecy says, and I quote, "When the earth is ravaged and the animals are dying, a new tribe of people shall come unto the earth. This new tribe will be of many colors, creeds, and classes, and their actions and deeds shall make the earth green again. They will be known as the warriors of the rainbow." Close quote. Now, these two quotes are not unique. Many ancient cultures, mystics, scriptures, and mythologies describe human evolution and time not just as a physical process, but more importantly, a conscious, cyclical process. Everything always goes full circle. That includes time, energy, seasons, and even all conscious life. Like I said earlier, and as you can see on my model, there are different realms, domains, civilizations, races, cultures on our entire earthly plane and within our universe, all experiencing this circle and cycle of life. Naturally, there is a process as to how all this expansive variety of existence came about and continues to be. And this is what I'm going to attempt to show and explain to you in this last part of my presentation.